Hey everyone, welcome back to the IwEP Network, or if it's your first time,
Thank you for hanging out with us.
thank you so much for choosing this podcast, and feedback is always welcome. So make sure to check the links below for all social media links, audio and video versions of this show, and merch. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing that feedback, and enjoy the show.
And dreams that fall down from the clouds inside my sleep. Sometimes they are fake, but they still dig deep. And when I follow them to the back of my mind, I find that I've gone too far this time. Too far this time.
Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. We are on location today at the Yingling Mansion, which is super excited. We'll go around in a moment here and say everyone's name and get to know everybody. But first I want to thank our sponsor, Abaddon Tattoo Studio, a unique professional experience nestled in the small town of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. They provide high quality tattoos and piercings in a relaxed, professional, and sterile environment. Out of breath already? All right, so these you can check their links below for all their social media, contact information, and all that fun stuff. And this ad reads funny because I'm not a coffee drinker, but I have to read it like I am. So if you're like us in the morning, you're probably a zombie until that fourth or fifth cup of coffee. It takes that many.
I don't drink coffee.
All right. So anyway, not anymore. Fellow podcaster Shark Bite Biz has launched their own coffee line, Dead House Coffee. It is the freshest the freshest coffee around. Store-bought coffee has been sitting on shelves for months sometimes, but not this brew. It's shipped within 24 hours of roasted, ensuring you get the freshest coffee experience around. Go to deadhousecoffee.com. That's deadhousecoffee.com. And use the code TORNADO to get 10% off your purchase and help out this show. Don't be a zombie. Dead House Coffee. Get back to life. All righty. Housekeeping stuff out of the way. We also want to thank our Patreon subscribers, Tommy B, Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop, Brad Zalonis, Higher Than Other Words Podcast, and Jay and Austin Blackwell. So thank you guys for your contributions for Patreon. We do $1 shout outs and $5 you get bonus content for the rest of this content, rest of the shows that are on our podcast. So we have Tornado Tag, Bangin' Beers, Truth Behind Illusion. There's another one. Not Cool in High School. There it is. We do a few of them. But yeah, you get bonus episodes and a shout out, and everything goes to support the podcast and help us grow. We do have merchandise links as well, and everything we're talking about today will have links, so you can go follow that and support what we're talking about today. So we'll start with my left here. We'll go around. Everyone introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hoppel. I'm here representing Dustin's Adventureland.
I'm Lisa Gillespie from the Majestic Theater.
I'm Emily Ellinger. I'm with the Schuylkill County Council for the Arts and Schuylkill Free Shakespeare.
Hello, Mandy Fitzpatrick, Executive Director at Schuylkill County's Vision.
Susan Bozak. I'm with Schuylkill County Therapeutic Writing Program.
I'm Walter Davis. I'm with the Schuylkill County Conservancy.
All right. So what are we talking about here today? What are we getting into?
Coming up, we have the Schuylkill Gives. It's a 24-hour give-a-thon that has been hosted for a number of 2 years now.
This is the second year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that.
No?
All right, so this is the...
participated last year. You were in the inauguration of it.
Look at that.
It was a trip. So,
So you said 24 hours long.
yeah, so it's May 14th.
Yep, 12 to 12.
Yeah,
Nice. And where does this take place?
online.
SchuylkillGives.com.
Okay. And what is this go towards, and what does all entail?
So last year there was, 30 nonprofits?
There are a little under 30. This year there are over 30 nonprofits that register and have giving pages, and we all come together that day and encourage community members to donate to our organizations.
Specifically to Schuylkill County. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
things. Is
100%.
So when you have, say, in November, you have like Giving Monday, and that goes to every nonprofit across the United States. Schuylkill Gives is specifically geared to help Schuylkill County nonprofit organizations. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a part of something similar. I something I've kind of taken for granted, or you kind of see every year, and you're like, and you just keep it moving for anyway. It just sounds horrible as I started saying this, but Toys for Tots. Like, you kind of just see it, you don't realize what goes into it. You just kind of walk by, you're like, oh, you throw one toy in, and right before pandemic, I put on like a show. I did like 3 or 4 shows in the area. I did one in St. Clair, one in Pottsville, one in Schuylkill Haven, and we had a bunch of bands play everything. And the admission was a toy, or the donation at the door went to Toys for Tots. And we did it, and then we got it in. We were like a super late entry too. Like he was like, I can't take any more toys. I'm like, all right, well then we'll do something else. He's like, all right, we'll take your, we'll get you in. So we were like the deadline. Like they were packing stuff up, and we were bringing stuff the last bit in, and we raised like $4 or $5 of toys and like 800 some bucks or something like that. But we went in. It's just like up at the school here, or the old. I'm not sure exactly what the building is. It's like right up the street here. It's like an old gym.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And it's wall to wall, just toys. And there's one of the local guys in the area. He just goes out and buys like a bunch of bicycles and stuff, and helmets and toys. And it's just like the entire gymnasium just packed with stuff. And I remember I'm a huge like nerd comic book guy, so there was a Miss Marvel toy, and this lady seen the toy and like, oh my god, like this is perfect for little Stephanie. And she runs over and puts it in that box. I was like, what do you mean? She like, so these 4 or 5 volunteers who do it, like have every single person like almost memorized of what they wanted and what they're looking for. And this one little girl was like obsessed with superheroes, and she wanted the Captain Marvel, and it was the only thing that like they didn't get on their list. And then someone donated that. And just hearing that one story, how like a small contribution or a small giving back to your local people, it was like I don't know, it was like moving. I left there, I was like, I felt good about doing it. I was like, that's something that now I'm like super passionate about. But you don't know unless you learn about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like last year was our first year doing it, so we really didn't know what we were getting into. But by the end of it, and seeing like the statistics that came out of it on how much was raised for the county in just 24 hours, it was wild. Like, it was.
Yeah. And it was interesting. I was saying earlier when we were just sitting around, I had it set up that my mom was making the very first donation at midnight, and I did it for her. But later when I was talking to her, she's like, oh, I got on and I gave to this, and this, that organization. So a lot of people were, told to go and support one organization, but then looked at all 30 and gave to additional ones. So it really gives an opportunity not only to make a donation, but to learn about 30 organizations that are serving Schuylkill County.
Yeah, I know I went on, Mandy, to support you in Vision last year. Dustin's Adventureland was not part of Schuylkill Gives last year. It's our first year joining, but going on to support Vision, and then I was able to see what else is going on in the county, because there's a lot of programs I don't think people are aware of and what's going on and what they're doing to support our community. So it's a great site just to check out.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, and there was like a friendly rivalry between the nonprofits of like getting more people to donate, but in the process, like you're creating more awareness for the nonprofits that are in the county and what is going on and things like that, where like you're not 100% aware of everything that is going on where you live until you do something like this.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on the other side of the mountain, so I'm like the Monty City kid in the area. So like I didn't really know or partake in a lot of stuff on the other side of the mountain until I was almost 30. I know it sounds really strange to think that, but like I didn't know half the stuff that was going on in Pottsville until I met friends here, and then like going from like bars to bar to business and finding out different things, and then started this podcast. Like I didn't know we had a theater program. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I always said to people before pandemic, if you couldn't find something to do in Schuylkill County on a weekend, it's your own fault.
Yep.
Because there's always something going on. Whether you could support a business, a local band, the theater program. There's so much cool stuff going on in this area that I feel like a lot of people don't know about. And it's weird because, like I said, there's that little division just between a mountain where one side is Schuylkill County and the other side, and they don't realize that there's all this stuff going on in our area.
Yeah, but it is also going on north of the mountain.
Yeah.
Your stuff is happening in Monterey City.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak but for Vision,
Yeah.
we have a community garden and walking routes that are up in Monterey City. So,
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's stuff up there.
I'm so excited. I didn't know.
Well, like, and to bring that home, like in Shendo, they're working on making trails that connect to like the Schuylkill River Trail and stuff like that. So like there is a lot of connection within the communities, and it's all under our nose.
Yeah, Shenandoah's doing a thing kind of like Pottsville is now with this revitalization project where they're really trying to get the community involved. Yep. And we talked about in a previous podcast where Shenandoah kind of had a bad stigma about it, where it was like, there was this stuff going on, and as people are drag racing down Montague Street. But no, like how they have Culture Day, where every different culture comes to town, they learn about everyone's heritage, and they come together. Like there was a thing that was like, people are here and they're not taking advantage of our community, but you turn around and they're all involved in like local churches and stuff,
Yep.
and they're the one cleaning drug needles out of parks, and then and it's like, wait, oh, okay, they take just as much pride as we do, and it really brought the town back together. And now that Pottsville's doing the same thing in an aspect of bringing business to the area and bringing cool things like that, it's super exciting to see.
Yeah. And Shenandoah is participating. Downtown Shenandoah Initiative is one of the 30-some organizations.
Is it Mary?
Mary retired. It's Susan Williams. But
I'm actually related to Mary.
Oh.
Yeah, Mary Lescavage, yeah.
Yes, she retired, I believe, at the end of 2020. But
Yeah.
they're still moving forward, and they are one of the participating nonprofits.
Awesome, that's exciting.
And we have a program in Ringtown also, up the mountain, so.
That's exciting. Honestly, I'm really happy about today because I'm learning so much. I get to learn about everyone's thing here. So let's start with you. Got your notes. You're ready to go here. Let's learn about what you got.
All right, so we're Dustin's Adventureland, and we are hoping this year to break ground on an all-inclusive special needs playground. It'll be in Minersville at the recreation complex, which I think is another resource a lot of people don't know about in the county. They have the pool, the Little League field, the Lions Pavilion. There's a walking path.
Skate park.
That's up in New Minersville.
Yeah, that's up in New Minersville. But so we're hoping to break ground this year. We're going to have a variety of. I'm trying to think of the word. Equipment for special needs kids, and all kids really do enjoy. There's going to be adaptive swings, a zip line, there's sensory equipment. So it's something that I think closest to our area is like Sealands Grove and Allentown for playgrounds like this. So it's something we've been working on, and we're excited to hopefully break ground.
Awesome, that's exciting. I know the people who own Black Diamond in Frackville. They do a lot with like autism awareness and stuff in the area. They just raised a bunch of money the other night, but they used to do at the Elks. They would do like the Autism Awareness Day, and I used to dress up as Batman, and the kids would go through like a sensory obstacle course and then come in and save Batman, and I take a picture with them. But like that's a cool thing. They would definitely probably get involved and do stuff with you there.
That's how I first got involved with Dustin's. They started as a special needs Easter egg hunt, and I dressed up as Chase for Paw Patrol.
Nice.
Had my picture taken lots that day in costume. But that's how I started volunteering with them, and now have grown to be part of the board and really take a more active role.
Cool. So it's like it's a different type of playground for people with like kids with special needs and autism that they can go in and participate and play. Awesome. Most of the playground equipment for us growing up, especially was, if you didn't leave with 14 splinters, you didn't play on it right.
Pile of tires in the woods.
Monty City's elementary school was just all wood. It was an entire wooden playground, and everyone was going to the nurse after recess to get splinters taken out of their hands. It was great.
That's how you get tough.
Yeah. That's awesome. We're bred different in that town. Now, when does this start in this process?
Well, we've been raising money. I think it's about a year and a half now that we've been a nonprofit. So we've raised about $90,000 so far. We just received a grant from the state for $100,000, which is a huge shot in the arm for us. And we have about $80,000 to $90,000 more to raise. We're hoping we have a bunch of fundraisers coming up. We have the Schuylkill Gives that we can break ground in August or September. If not, we may have to push it back to April, but we're really hoping to get the funding this year to be able to break ground and get that in our community.
Exciting. Where exactly in Minersville is this going to be placed when it's finished? When you start?
Familiar with Minersville, it's just right past the pool complex there. Well, it's part of the pool complex, so. I'm sorry, I don't know the street name. Andy, do you remember? You go down Sunbury.
It's on 4th Street, the end of
4th Street. So, yeah.
What is? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the photo here. What is they look like flowers?
They're.
Oh, they are. They're flower in-ground.
They're flower. They're sensory equipment. So I'm not sure if they're. To be honest, I'm not sure if they're sound or there's touch, but things to involve your senses.
Oh, this is all like really pretty neat stuff here.
Autism have sensory needs, so.
Yeah, this is exciting. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, I know that this organization is what you guys are doing for your 24-hour thing. But if someone watches this later, sees this later on, where can people go to donate after the 24-hour thing is over?
So we have
That's
a
a tough
Facebook page. You can look up Dustin's Adventureland on Facebook page. Our events are listed there. We run a lot of online raffles right now. And then there's buttons there to be able to donate to us directly.
Exciting.
Mostly through Facebook, yeah. We do have a
This is-
website too, but I think that's in the process of being updated.
I'm like super jealous. I wish I was a kid and can play on these.
Hey, look at that zip line.
I know, it was awesome. It's a lot safer than the zip lines. Like when they first put the zip lines where you just hang on for dear life, and some grown kid or like a bigger kid pushes you as hard as he can, and you hit that edge and just go flying.
Yes, this has a harness.
Yeah,
and
you're in like a
everything
chair in
for
this one.
safety,
This
yes.
this one's a lot better. Yeah, this looks great. I always you go past parks and you see them all different now. You're like, these look like McDonald's play places, but better. Like it looks really neat. I'm excited for this. This is fun, and and there's a lot of people in the area who would definitely benefit from this, and they wouldn't have to go as far like in Allentown and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And it'll even bring, I think, people from outside the area here to bring their kids so they have a place to play.
Absolutely, exciting. All right, we'll move on to our next person here. The veteran of the podcast.
Yeah, that doesn't make it any better. Ask a question. I don't know what to say.
So, what are you a part of here, and what are we trying to raise for?
Okay, so the Majestic Theater. As you can imagine,
Good start.
I know it's a good start. Sam got Mamma Mia on my face. We're actually in production for Mamma Mia. That we will hopefully be able to do at the end of June. However, right now we can only sell 10 tickets because of the restrictions on indoor live events.
I'm in the audience.
Yes,
Oh, you got a cutout?
Yeah.
Nice.
she is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love my cutouts, and I'm never lonely when I'm at the theater.
They would scare the garbage out of me.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. So right now the indoor capacity for live events is supposed to be 25%. We seat 200, so that gives us 50. Our cast and crew are 40, so that leaves us 10 tickets that we can sell. So we're hoping that the restrictions ease up to about 75% so we can have the show at the theater. If not, we're going to have to go off-site, which we are still trying to nail down. But as you can imagine, we can't do shows, so we have no income.
Yeah.
We've been basically, this is ridiculous. We've been basically depending on fundraisers, donations, grants to keep us open for the past year and a half, but it's getting old.
Yeah.
Like, we want to do shows.
It's crazy because you were one of the last podcasts I did before the pandemic really took off. So one of the last productions was Clue, and I got to sit down with you and the cast, and that was a blast, by the way. You guys did a fantastic
They
job.
did a great job.
One of my favorite movies ever, and then just to see it portrayed in the theater, and that's when I was hooked. I'm like, the theater stuff in this area is awesome. But you had so many plans to do, like bring back movie nights, like every Thursday, like old school movies, and you can go see, like, relive that experience of seeing a certain movies in theaters again, and then obviously the pandemic hit, so you had all these plans, and then it just kind of fell apart on us.
We had so many plans.
Yeah.
Like, so many plans. I mean, and some of the plans were just to fix things. Like, we started off with Frozen and with Clue, so we were having, like, this really good year, and we had all these, things we were going to fix, things we were going to upgrade, things we were going to improve. Crash, bang, boom.
Yeah.
So all those things a year later still need to be fixed, and they still need to be improved, and they still need upgrades. And we really, really want to have shows, like, so with not being able to sell as many tickets as you need, the donations actually help us to put on the shows and not rely on the ticket sales. So we can still, you don't realize how desperate people who are on stage get when they can't be on stage. Like, they need to perform for people, and they've been locked away for a year. It's really getting to them. So we've been trying. We did 2 productions last year that ended up having to be virtual. But honestly, I just want to be able to let these people play, like
Yeah.
they need a place to go.
It's just
So
the arts of like the theater arts is the same as like my musician friends. Like they're craving that. That's their stress
atmosphere.
relief. That helps them through their anxiety and their depression and their tough times. So if your whole thing is just doing a play production and you don't have that, it's tough. It's a good coping mechanism, and people don't have that at this moment.
nope. And like every time they ease up a restriction, it's awesome, and you pounce on it. But then, like seriously, like we pounce, and then all of a sudden, zip! Sorry, you can't have that,
Yeah.
and they take it away. And so you're left with, okay, what are we supposed to do with all of this energy and all of this preparation? And so we just really are hoping that Schuylkill Gives, not only for us but for everybody else, helps to just prolong the
bleed.
where we can get back to normal and actually be productive. You still need to pay bills. You still, the electric bill still comes, even and you still have to pay insurance, even though like your building's closed. You still have all those bills, and you have no other income. And I do have to say that Schuylkill Gives is perfect because you may want to donate to these charities, and if you're lazy like me, you're not going to make the effort to go like find their individual websites. So you go, this is like one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You put your credit card in one time, and then you go do, and you can hit them all. It's like awesome. I donated to like 10 last year because it was easy.
Same.
Yeah.
Like you just go, oh, look, them. I like them. And, oh, that sounds really cool.
I didn't know they existed.
Yeah,
But
it's like exactly. So it makes it so easy to donate, even if you didn't think. I spent way more money than I was gonna too, but it was totally worth it. So do that.
Yeah.
People.
So the production of Mamma Mia, I know it from the movie, but I don't know exactly what the premise is. So what for people like me who do not know what Mamma Mia is, what can they expect with this production?
It's like a really sort of interesting story that gets you to hear a lot of ABBA music. It's like it's a story.
It's all based on ABBA?
It's all ABBA music.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like, yeah, and it's like the really good ones too. The really good songs. I mean, the story, like sometimes, you get ones in the songs that are like, why'd they pick that one?
You get the deep cuts.
These are like they're like the really good songs. And it was funny because I was at, I think it was Salvation Army, and everybody gets snarky, and they're like, oh, you're doing Mamma Mia. Are you going to have Pierce Brosnan and Meryl Streep? And I looked at her and I said, nope, my people can sing. So it's like, because I mean, we've got really, I don't know if you've ever come to see a show, but we have really talented people in this county, like seriously good singers, dancers, actors, and thankfully.
Tony's right there.
Yep.
No, I definitely can't say that. Enough boozing me, I'll get it done. Like, I can't follow a script, but just throw me out there. I'll wing it.
Well, that's going to be my goal. I'm going to get you on stage one of these days. But we have really seriously talented people in this county.
I know a few of the people that are part of the production, and a friend of mine, he's actually looking to get involved with the Schuylkill County Theater because of the podcast, because he got more exposure to it. But he was doing a lot with the Bloomsburg Theater Ensemble.
Oh, cool.
We had early on in the podcast, we had one of the members of that, Andrew Hubachek, who he actually played the original Zelda from Pet Sematary. You ever see the original Pet Sematary? Yeah. Remember the sister that's in the bed with the spina bifida, and she runs.
I was very young and I only saw it once.
Oh, well, it was the most terrifying part of the movie, but that was actually played by a man, and he lives in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and he's part of the Bloomsburg Theater Ensemble.
Brand, send him my way.
Yeah, he's really, really talented. And then I seen a production of was it Rocky Horror Picture Show by the cast, that the people in the Reading area. They did it at like Shocktoberfest, and that was fantastic. So
that was Genesius. That they did a great job.
Yeah, and they did it in like a tent. So there was like because they couldn't do it, they couldn't do their stuff out. So it all had to be outdoors, and it was an awesome experience. And a lot of that, it was because I got to go see Clue and realize, and it kind of like sparked that interest of going to see local shows.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and the good thing about Mamma Mia is we got so many new people that I've never met before. I didn't know who they were. Like we're we're a small area, so usually you see the same people over and over again, which is great because they're really good. But we got tons of new people, which was really exciting. So our cast, we have 2 casts. So I think we have 35 people total in the show.
I think my favorite theater story is one of my first like good dates with my girlfriend was right after you implemented reserved seating where you could pay online and like have your seat reserved. I was the first person to reserve it, Walter, written on the seat. And like everyone like probably walked in and was like, some old guy just reserved that seat. And then in walking me my girlfriend and sitting in the first row. But
Because we're so high tech, we actually like write people's names and stick them with sticky notes. To the seats.
I have a funny story of the night of
first
Clue.
person to reserve a seat.
The night of Clue, I was running around. I was going to some different shows, and we swung by and got there just in time, so we were closer to the back. And a gentleman got sick in the middle of the show. I don't know if you remember this or have you ever heard this story. So he gets up out of his chair and he runs from the back across, like up the stairs around the back.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm in the very back row, and as he's passing me, he throws his hands over his mouth, and you heard what was going on.
Oh my God, I didn't even know
So he
that.
gets back to the bathroom,
No
and
way.
he is loudly vomiting.
Oh my gosh.
Like loudly. And I got up and moved because if I smell it or anything, I'm done. Like, there's no coming back for me.
Oh my God.
So I go up where like the sound booth is, and Tori's back there, and at the time me and Tori were getting close. We were friends, and she's like, "Oh my God!" And it's loud. You hear him. He's like, "Ah!" like screaming.
I never.
And I just like peeked in, and I'm like, "Tori, it's not that bad of a show. You guys are doing a great job." She's like, "Shut up, shut up!" But like he's like throwing up in the bathroom. I felt so awful for him, and he, to his credit, he played it off great. He walked right back out like it never happened. Just sat down. He's like starting to eat his candy again. I was like killed
Oh my
it.
God.
It was great.
Oh,
And then Al's running around trying to find it with a flashlight.
oh, that's fine, because if Al was there, I wasn't there. So
Yeah.
he was running the show there.
He's
He
like,
never told me.
he's looking around. I don't think he got anything out. Like I think he made it to his destination.
Oh my God.
But it was hilarious. Just
can't
going
even
up to them and be like, the show's not that bad. You're doing a great job. She's like, we
they
made
did.
someone sick.
They did a really good job. And any show that I don't have to direct is a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, they did fantastic. That was my first one so far, but hopefully get to go see Mamma Mia.
We've got really good shows planned for the rest of the year too, if we are ever able to have them. We have an original script of Bonnie and Clyde by Tyler Rossi, who's local to the area. Tyler. Yep. So he wrote it. We're putting it on, so it's going to be its debut. It'll never have been done anywhere else before. And then we're also doing White Christmas and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, nice. Exciting.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully with everything going on now with the vaccines and herd immunity and all that fun stuff, we can go back to doing stuff indoors, because summer only lasts like 38 minutes here, and then we're back to winter. So we gotta
Already
get
on
the
like 15-minute mark.
yeah. It's like the beginning of May, April, so Mother Nature's still trying to figure stuff out. Like
Yeah.
I think
It's still snow.
yeah, like it could still snow next weekend. We have no idea.
Well,
Like,
like last week it was snowing. I was driving. There's like snow hitting my
Yeah.
windshield. I
Yeah.
was like, we just went from 60 degrees to 20 real quick.
Mother Nature's on a bender. You know, she comes all winter long. She goes into seasonal depression, and she's like, she'd be like, all right, this weekend we're getting a little crazy. We'll get you some nice weather and then snow 4 feet. It's like 70 degrees to like freezing.
I think there's a special Mother Nature for Schuylkill County.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the special
Seriously,
Mother
the
Nature
mountain
out there.
ranges like confines it.
My ears are probably sweaty.
Yeah, we're part of Pet Cemetery. We're all on like burial ground or something. It's just a different animal here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But while you're set up here, let's talk about what you got going on.
Well, hello. My name is Emily Ellinger. Again, I'm with the Schuylkill County Council for the Arts as the executive director. I'm also the founder and artistic director for Schuylkill Free Shakespeare. So yeah, I started here at the Council for the Arts in November of, I guess, was it 2019? And I was excited and raring to go, and pandemic. So the nice thing about that was, so I came into this job, and there's like a lot of different levels, because we're the Council for the Arts. And the one thing that needs to be rebuilt is programming. But we're also the stewards for the historic Frank D. Yingling Mansion, which we are all sitting in currently. And the structure of the building needs a lot of work. There's events, rental events, there's events that we want to have happen and fundraisers. So there's so many things that are sort of on my plate as the executive director here. And the one, can we call it a gift? that the pandemic gave me was, all right, let's focus on the structure. Let's focus on the building. And so we did what we could do from, my perspective, and Bobby, who works maintenance here, who is just a gem. I love him so much. But we did what we could do from our end. But we also wrote some grants. We just received a grant from DCED with the help of Senator Arkell. We got $150,000. Now, that money's basically already spent. Because, it's funny because I think of I love my home. I have a nice home, but it definitely isn't worth $150,000. And it's like $150,000 going into this building is still like dropping a penny into a bucket, basically, of what needs to be done here. So because this mansion was done in the style of Jacobean revival, so you might want to think like Elizabethan structures of the wood trim, that wood is now like, I want to say 113 years old. I think I'm doing the math right. No, is it 108? I might be adding some years here, but it's rotting. I have some great pictures up on our Facebook page of the wood that they took out. Because one thing we did get to do, because we had an anonymous donor donate some money, we were able to start on the bay window over here, and all of it was, the wood was so rotten. It was like green and like
punky.
Yeah, it was really bad, and it was letting water in. So before the ceiling here in the dining room was starting to, Lisa, you saw it, it was like literally falling apart in little pieces because the water was getting into the house. So luckily, we got to take care of the bay window. But yeah, I have pictures of the wood that they took out. But there's a lot of wood trim that still needs to be removed and replaced, and you want to do it with respect to the history, and also balance that with the materials that's going to protect the house, and how that all relates to the preservation or the National Historic Commission, basically, that designates places of historical significance in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so I mean, we put, I forget what type of treatment we put on the floors in here, but all the floors look really shiny. That shine is going to dull in time, but it protects all the floors from water damage.
Like a polyurethane.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So, I mean, I love this place. I took my first acting class over in the Carriage House. It was a Shakespeare. Oh, sorry. It was a Shakespeare class.
The spooky Carriage House.
It's not spooky. In fact, everyone is so convinced there's ghosts in here.
Oh.
And I have never met one, and I am mad because everyone I work with, or if I have interns in here, they have these ghost experiences, and I'm open, spirit world. I'm so open, and they never say hi to me.
That's what Linda Blair said in that movie too, and it didn't work. But I will say this: the Schuylkill County Shakespeare, I would say single-handedly saved last year for me. Because what you guys did outdoors with the local music and putting shows on in the courtyard.
Well, the Council for the Arts did that. But
yeah.
I represent both organizations, so I just want to be clear.
And it honestly saved last year for me because like it was to the point where it's like, oh man, I'm missing my friends. I can't interact with people. I can't go see music.
100%.
And that was such a bright spot in last year, and it was such a good time.
We're planning on doing it again. I do need some help booking some acts, so maybe we can talk after.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I loved it, and we got to sell some Yingling beverages, so you can have Yingling here while you're enjoying the grounds. But no, I loved the musicians, and I loved the variety that came in.
Well, like every week was different. Like I think I missed 2. To be honest. And it was because like I wasn't in the state or something.
It's funny, the biggest turnout one was the one that
Yeah.
I thought was not going to
Yeah.
go over the
The
bed.
The one at the end,
heavy
like
metal
Austin's
show.
band and stuff.
Yeah, the heavy
And
metal show killed it.
It was such a variety of people that were there.
Yes.
Like I kind of feel like it was half of like the people that had gone to all of them were just gonna go because no matter what, like they needed something to do, whether it was like to get the kids out of the house or whatever. And then you had like all of the diehard those band fans.
Yeah.
So you just had this super mass of people that don't fit in with each other.
And it was cold. It
Oh
was
my-
rainy.
my
It was
feet are
dark.
freezing.
And everyone had
Yeah.
a blast.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
there was the one that it rained, and like people were still there. Like,
Yeah.
100%.
It was much needed for the area. So
I'm
Yeah.
excited to bring that back.
No,
I
that was-
also
that was a big
eventually
highlight.
want to do outdoor movies, but that's probably
Listen, I tried last year. I tried hard,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get anyone to go with it.
Aw, 2 to 3. Give me a couple of years to purchase, write the grants to purchase the equipment.
Well, we don't even need to purchase. I already had it lined up.
You did.
I just didn't have a venue.
Oh.
All I needed was one wall and a parking lot. That's all I asked for. And you know what I got? No.
you know what?
This is the first some of us are hearing about
Yes.
that. We
come
could have
talk
helped.
to- Yes.
I was blasted on social media.
You can get I think they're super cheap too. It's like a inflatable thing where you just plug a fan into it and
Yeah.
it blows up a giant screen, and then you just tell people to bring lawn chairs and you just set them up. And,
Well, that was the
Well,
whole principle. Like, it was a walk-in movie theater, and the whole like idea behind it was like, we can't charge you to come. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of a sudden now we're gonna get super fined by every movie company known to man, but we can rent chairs, and like that's how we can create a revenue. And the whole idea was to create that revenue model to go and put towards like facade grants downtown and things like that. But the whole idea was, let's do this downtown because that inspires people to go get dinner before it, or after the movie go get beers at the local restaurants or whatever. But like, yeah, it was just
I will say this: was it last weekend or 2 weeks ago now when the Yingling did the special Chetty event, and then Black Rock had their soft open. It was really cool to see like people walking from one brewery to the other and like experiencing both places and really getting involved. And it's like, that's only a drop in the hat of what's open right now. Like Crimson House is remodeling, Pilgaroo is opening soon. And I'm not trying to just put out the beer places because I like beer,
but still.
but
yeah.
obviously in Schuylkill County, that's a definite big draw for the area. So if those businesses are now going to be opening soon and we can get back to normal restrictions because everyone's doing the right thing, like a place like the theater is going to thrive because you're right in the middle of all that and all these cool things to do in the area because everybody wants to explore them and do it. It was just like, it was cool to have that little bit of normalcy back. And it was just for a few minutes just because they had that soft opening. But it's like, it's exciting to see what people are craving to go do stuff. It's like we're right at that cusp. We just need to get over that hump.
Personal events.
And I think like the partnerships that could come out of that. I know I've talked to Lisa several times. I used to work in Harrisburg, so the Midtown Cinema was attached to 0 Day, and so they had like the opportunity to get a crowler and go over to to the movie theater. I'm like, so that's gonna be such a nice way to connect the arts with the brewery right next door. And all.
Oh, if you let me bring beer over to the theater, I'll be at every show.
You already could. You can't tell her about it.
When you have
to get on the
beer,
mic.
like everybody
Gotta give her the mic.
can
On the mic.
Sorry.
you can actually take your alcohol out of, which is so cool, from Crimson House or the Wheel or wherever you can, it's to go. You can get your drink in a to-go cup.
Yep.
And as far as I know, there's no reason you can't bring it into the theater. Like, so
I may have sat near your audience. But I'm not gonna lie.
honest to God, if I don't
That's gonna
know,
be like the
it's
theme.
not like I'm
so
gonna say
I may
no.
have been at your
Just hand
event.
it around.
May have, yes.
My only thing is you should bring some for me. like if you're bringing it in, like just
Could you imagine how awesome the musical sing-alongs are going to be? Everyone's all tuned up.
I'm good with just a little one. So
It's
you're more than
exciting.
welcome to bring it. Just bring me one.
Yeah, the cool things that are just happening in the local towns. Every town is doing it. It's I don't know. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh, can I
Absolutely.
just throw my shout out for Schuylkill Free Shakespeare this summer? We're producing Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's going to be really, really funny and really. I think everyone needs a little escapism and some, and a little bit of magic. So that's what we're hoping to produce, and that will happen here in the Gardens. My work through Schuylkill Free Shakespeare is what got me sort of noticed for coming here to work for the Schuylkill County Council for the Arts, because doing that is, it's all volunteer work. No one gets paid for what we do, and we only accept donations. So you can come in with your family and see a great, if I do say so myself, high quality Shakespeare show.
No, it is really good. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the first events
Yes.
that I brought my mom to, and she had never been to the mansion before.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was like a
My
really big
co-host
event.
of my wrestling podcast, Brian, he also does a podcast in here called Murder My Dude, and he's a huge fan
that's awesome.
the Shakespeare
Yeah.
Theater. Yeah, they talk like true crime stuff. They dissect cases and stuff, but they
that's
put
cool.
a comic spin on it. But he's also a huge wrestling junkie, so he does the wrestling show with me. But he has brought up many times on the show about the Shakespeare and how
And it's
he
just a
always
really
read it.
cool venue because like you're in the sunken garden and everything's going on and like the steps in front of you and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
because
it's-
like Peter Pan was last year and that was a really good play.
Oh yeah, the well, it's based on Peter Pan. It was
Yeah.
Peter and the Starcatcher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that space down there is so good for having outdoor shows because there's several entrances and exits. I think
Yep.
the only thing I'd like to do is get a sail to block out the sun a little bit because it can really just shine in your eyes when it's going down or
Yeah.
when it's high noon. But no,
Gets
it's
hot.
we're really lucky. I mean, to have this location, the Schuylkill County Council for the Arts, and have one, how incredible is it, and who does it? I mean, I haven't heard of anything like this happening, but the Yingling family in 1978 donated this house to the Schuylkill County Council for the Arts to promote local arts and culture. I mean, at the time, this house is easily worth quite a bit of money, but can you imagine that? Like not selling it, donating it for the purposes for our county. What an amazing gift.
Well, and more than that, in the 80s, they donated Yingling Park. And
Yeah.
that was the original spring for the brewery and turned
Yeah.
that into what it is today. And
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Brilliant.
very honored and happy to be podcasting in this house. So when he told me that's what we're doing, I was like, that's cool. my goal is to be like, I want to be on location and experience different things. Like being on stage at the Majestic was super cool. I was supposed to be live at a block party, which sounds stupid, but like I've never seen a podcast at a block party, and I've been to thousands of block parties, and block parties are
Yeah.
cool. So I want to be like, just stake my claim, like did that.
Well, I know we'd love to have you back, and I know I don't know if you still do the ghost. I know you were very interested in coming here for that. We never
Yeah.
got to because pandemic.
And you were pretty busy with the
I'm
events
always
going on.
very busy.
Yeah.
Just
You just drop by. That's
just
what
drop
I do.
by.
Well, we got a chance to do the Jim Thorpe prison.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I saw
was,
that.
That was kind of cool. Like, we got
wow.
the podcast inside the
Yeah.
prison, which was very, very interesting. I was like, did you experience? I was like, I was so nervous that I wanted everything to go well that a ghost could have kissed me on the face.
Yeah.
I would have never noticed. I was so in the zone. Like, I hope everything works. I hope everything's good. That's like my mini panic attack when I hit record and stuff. Like, I hope everything's working well. Cause,
Did we actually record it?
yeah, that has happened before. But yeah. All right. Well, let's move on here to our next.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mandy Fitzpatrick from Schuylkill County's Vision, and we are a nonprofit that serves the entire county. We mobilize community resources to better Schuylkill County, and we do that by collaborating with a lot of people at this table and a lot of other organizations, identifying community assets. So I like to say it's almost like we don't do the direct services, but we find the people that are doing those services and connect so that everybody in Schuylkill County is getting the benefit of the services.
Or the county LinkedIn.
Exactly. That's now I'll
That's
say
kind
that.
of what I'm trying
I am
to
the
do here with
LinkedIn of the county.
Yeah, trying to do that with the podcast as well. Is just trying to bring awareness to things and have people like one of the things I'm pretty thankful for is like a lot of the bands I got to like, hey, we're gonna do shows this weekend together because of the seeing each other on the podcast and then linking like, hey, you should work with this person or that person. So it is really cool to like bring like local things in your area to the light. Like it's exciting.
Yeah. And I attend a lot of meetings, but I attend things like, a lot of meetings. But I'm like involved with the hospital's community health needs assessments. So they like are trying to address, the issues in the county, and I'm able to sit there and say what I'm seeing, but also provide those community assets. Like, you think this is a problem, we have a solution here in the county. We just need to connect that solution. So we're able to be that connection in a lot of different ways throughout the county. But we're doing so in many different areas. Our focus areas are arts and culture, health and wellness, quality of life, importance of community and economic development. So it's very broad. So there's a lot of things that we do, but we partner with Lehigh Valley Hospital for Healthy Communities. So we do walking initiatives. So in Shenandoah, Monterey City, and in Haven, we have walkworks, which are defined routes throughout the community that you can go out and walk on. We have community gardens up in Monterey City and one in Haven as well. And we do some programming throughout the county.
The one in Monterey City, is that the old like skating rink?
So there are 4 routes. 3 of them start at the Rite Aid, and I don't remember the route names. But if you're right outside the Rite Aid, there's 3 signs, and it shows you the maps, and they're also
Red,
available
blue,
on our
green.
website. But it takes you, and each map shows you, connects to the historical sites. So like Service Electric is one of the sites up there that, you're walking by, it tells you a little history. The Molly Maguire little statue that they have there. Is it the Smith Mansion? There's a
Kaiser Mansion? Maybe the Smith one's the one that's in the bottom of the hill as you're coming in.
Yeah.
And then the Kaiser's like you're leaving, like in the middle of town.
Yes.
At the old brewery.
Okay, so like those are highlighted, and you learn a little bit of the history of the areas. The one in Haven, I actually helped produce, but instead of looking at the history, because Haven has a lot of great walking routes that already address the history of the area, so I tied in recreation. So on that map, it starts at Island Park, which is a recreation hub in Haven. It talks about the Schuylkill River. And then it talks about the Walk-In Art Center, the Historical Society, the library. So connecting those resources in the community.
I love the Walk-In Art Center. I never not went there and had a good time.
Yep.
Especially when they throw like their little shindigs. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah, so a lot of that is programming. And then we also do the Schuylkill County Youth Summit, which we bring all of the school districts, the 13 school districts, 2 Catholic schools, charter school, and St. Clair sends their 8th graders. We bring students together all year long. We did, of course, the running theme, pandemic, didn't happen this year. So that was on hold, but we work on projects with the schools. They identify a few students that come together once a month, and then we have a summit at the end of the year, and they address different issues. Like for 2 years, they did blight, another 2 years of the opioid epidemic. It's supposed to be 2 years of positive Schuylkill, so talking about the positive live, work, and play, and they were able to go out and experience, like we went to Solar Innovations in Pine Grove, and they got to learn about workforce and the opportunities. We came to the theater, and Emily talked to them, so they learned about the arts for one of them. Schaefer Harley Davidson hosted us, and so they got to hear about how Schaefer's does a lot with MDA, so the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So they got to learn about like how organizations give back in the community. So it was a fun little combination that we were able to do with them. And then we were hoping to eventually produce like a commercial of Youth Summit in Schuylkill County with the kids. But again, our theme, pandemic, has put that on
positivity
hold.
kind of switched directions real quick.
So my local spot where all the kids in the area would get together and hang out, event closed for a while, and I'm happy to hear that it's back and up and running. Roller Roost, that was like
Yeah, that really
that's like the local. Every kid from every town would go there on a Friday, Saturday night and go skating. I think we've all been there. Like,
Yeah.
my parents met
even
at
good
Roller
at
Roost.
it.
Like,
wow.
yeah, I'm the
that's
product of the Roller Roost.
I, as the 38-year-old adult that I am, still enjoy roller skating.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible roller skater. I'll give you all a heads up.
Yeah.
I was there right before everything closed down. We were actually there scouting it out for a friend's 40th birthday party, but it was like all kids skating and me and my friend. We were checking it out, and then, but that's one of those that came from the flames out of the pandemic that closed and was bought out.
Well, and
has,
originally
really
the
come
story
back.
was that it was going to turn into the storage units that were going
Yes.
across the street. So we were all like, oh, no.
We lost our mall. I don't think I could have
Yeah.
handled losing Roller Roost too. That would have.
And then when it like dramatic twist of events when they were like, nope, just kidding, we're revamping everything.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I'm happy to hear that's back.
Yeah.
I definitely have to. Something about when Pour Some Sugar on Me plays, and you start skating as
You got
fast
the
as you
disco
can.
light.
I gotta say, embarrassingly, I totally wiped out rocking out. I was skating to My Chemical Romance's The Black Parade, and I think I put my arm up in like some sort of like woohoo type thing, and I
Lost balance.
totally fell on my
You
back.
pulled a Bender from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I like totally just wiped out, fell on my back, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, the worst is when you're skating there on a Friday night and you're trying to impress the ladies or the boys, and everyone stands on the wall and they put their hands out and you slap her. For some reason, a high five to a girl back in the day was like the coolest thing ever. And if you fell in front of that wall, forget about it. You're gonna get made fun of for like, you're the kid who fell. Here he's coming back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the small things in the area that just keep us going. But yeah, I'm really happy that that's back in the area too.
And we've sort of pivot. And when I say pivot, I just immediately think of
Pivot.
pivot. So, and that's like the word that has been used all the time during this pandemic. But we're community based. We're used to being out in the community, and we can't. So we purchased a license for a virtual scavenger hunt app. So we do monthly scavenger hunts, and the whole point of it is to get people to get to know Schuylkill County. So it's it could be something like go take your picture on the trail, and I connect them right to the Visitors Bureau website.
Well, we got a project for you, let me tell you.
You ever hear the Geocache thing?
It's very similar to that. Yeah.
Not funny story, but I almost got shot Geocache.
No, I have yet to hear anybody being shot doing our
So right behind Home Depot, like on that hillside, there's a geocache. So all of me and my friends, it was hot. It was really hot. It was like sundown. We already found like 16 that day. So we're like, let's just do one more. So we drive my buddy's Jeep up there. Apparently that's a really big like drug drop off space. So the cops are watching it. So we drive up there. They see the Jeep drive up. They're immediately like,
Got him.
so half of us are in the Jeep in the air conditioning. The other half of us are like crawling through these like sticker bushes trying to find this on our phones. It's not going well. Cops pull up, lights on, immediately jump out of the car, guns out, and they're pulling everyone out of the Jeep. And we're still in the bushes. Like, do we just go down the hill? Do we abandon our friends right now?
That's the Schuylkill County way.
And then my friend, my one very, very moral friend is like, no, we have to go out there. So he starts walking out, and then we're like, great, now we have to walk out. So we're crawling out of the bushes. The cops don't know there's kids in the bushes. So now they're freaking panicking. Guns immediately pointed at us, and we're like, uh-oh.
I would have stayed right in that bush.
Right? And like I had brand new khakis on. Stupid decision. But so the cops are like, get on the ground. And I'm like in a push-up position. So I'm like, if I ruin these khakis, my mom's going to kill me. Like brand new. Coal dust everywhere. So I'm like, I don't really want to actually get on the ground, but like I will assume the push-up position. I'm in the push-up position. Later, I just thought like he had a taser or something. Cop's like, do you want to get shot? And I'm like, not really. I
can't get blood on these khakis.
My one friend just like grabs my arm, pulls it out. I like collapse on the ground. That's when like the other cop realizes like these are just dumb kids looking for a geocache. Oh my God. So they're like, all right, you guys can get up. Like, sorry about all of this. And the cop's like, my coffee is sitting at the bottom of this road. Do not run it over. So we're like, all right, we gotta get out of here. Almost run his coffee over. But yeah, so there is geocaching.
Well, and I will say
Don't go behind Home Depot. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
None of our missions are going to put your life in danger that I'm aware of.
It's still one of my friend's favorite stories. They were like, why would you say not really when there's a gun drawn? I was like, I didn't know. Not really.
But if you go to SchuylkillVision.com, Schuylkill Goose Chase, you'll be able to participate, and we could talk about how you can partner with other organizations to do some safe hunts.
Exciting.
Include the police in this one.
Go to this location, bust these kids. That's super exciting.
Fun for the whole family.
Yeah. Dying geocaching. That's
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we need in the news.
I mean, it's really funny in like retrospect, but in the moment, it was interesting.
You would have been calling me an hour later. Can you come back? I never left the bush. That guy was never gonna know I was there. Like I said, Monty City kid, I would have ran.
I guess the big question is like, had the khakis?
Yeah, did they survive?
No, they got stained. Like that was the end. As soon as he pulled my arm out and I collapsed, there was like coal dirt spots all over it.
You're like, you might as well shoot me now because my mom's gonna kill me.
Got
Who
home.
wears khakis to go geocaching?
It wasn't a planned
question.
geocache. It wasn't planned. There just happened to be one like right next to my friend's house, and that changed the entire.
snowballed.
Yeah, it was like, well, we found one. We can find more, and they're all like super easy to find. And then now we're in the coal hills trying to find rock.
You went to Haven, right?
No, so we only did the local
No, like
ones.
it's like in school you went
No,
to
I went to Pottsville.
Pottsville. These Pottsville kids in their khakis. we don't get khakis in Monty City. I'm joking. All right, let's get on there. Do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All
Thank you.
right.
I'm Susan Bozak from the Schuylkill County Therapeutic Riding Program. We provide horseback therapy for physically, mentally, and emotionally disturbed children. Not disturbed, I'm sorry to say challenged students. And we have all ages from 5 up to, we had a 71-year-old man last year who was riding. So it's any ages. Our basic need is that we have to take care of our horses all year round. We only have a 6-month program, but the horses like to eat and
Same.
and be taken care of all year round. And it's been a challenge this last 2 years to get the funding because a lot of the fundraisers we did we can't do any, and this last year and this year. So it's nice. We didn't know about Schuylkill Gives last year, and it was nice. Mandy has brought this to our attention. She's come to a lot of meetings to help us out, and I really appreciate her help with it. And hopefully we can get some money going. We have 2 programs, one outside of Friedensburg, and we have one in Ringtown that Wendy Schwartz runs up there. And it's if you've ever have time, come out and see it. The kids have a good time. We have kids who started out when they were really young who are riding independently now. Some of them even have gotten their own horses and have gone on to help us as volunteers. And if you ever have any time, we sometimes need at least 3 people for each child that we have because one leads the horse if they can't do it themselves, and we sometimes need 2 sidewalkers, one on each side of the child, to make sure they don't fall off or if they need physical support. So it's a matter of funding plus getting volunteers to come there and help us out.
How many horses do you have?
We have 5 at Friedensburg, and she has 5 of her own up at Ringtown. And we own the ones that are at Friedensburg. And have to take care of them also. The owner before sold the farm, and the people that are there now just rent us the area. So we have to take care of them. I have a lady who feeds them in the morning, feeds them at night, and mucks the stalls. And all she does get for that is board for her horse, and we take care of her horse. So she's a very dedicated person. I'm hoping she lasts for a couple more years because she is an older person.
What's her name by chance?
Peg Richardson.
Okay, because there's a lady in Ringtown who owns horse. I don't know if she still does because she's getting up there. Florence, her name was.
I know.
I think she had like 4 or 5 horses. We used to go up and help her take care of her horse. She had like I think 4 or 5 horses and a pony, like a miniature pony, that was blind, and the first time I'd never been around a horse in my entire life. And they're like, hey, just go over there, open that door. And the horses were all outside. And she's like, open the door, there's a bucket right outside, and just bring it in. So I go over, I slide the door open, and this just horse just stuck his face, because he knew that we're there, so we have food.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, like, when you've never been around a horse, and then you get near a full-grown, you're like, these are monsters.
Oh, yeah.
I was super intimidated. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. So, like, I was like, because they won't. But I'm like, they're so big, like they're just intimidating. I think she had all females except one. She had a male horse, and I was in there cleaning the stall. I freaked out because I seen every horrible video of a horse kicking someone through a wall, like I'm thinking Looney Tunes, and I go in and I'm doing the stall, and I'm just like pushing his hip. I'm like, please go. I'll rather you bite me than kick me. And he turns a little bit, and he puts his foot on top of my foot.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm done. But I guess he felt I was there, and he didn't put any pressure on. And then I kind of just made eye contact, and I think his name was Joe. I was like, please don't step down, Joe. I need that. And I was just like, let me just get my foot out. And he got my foot out, and he kind of did a nod at me. I was like, he's way smarter than I'm giving him credit for. I don't know. It was just really cool to help out and take care of the horses and help clean them and feed them and stuff and brush them and all that. It was a really cool experience. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, our students do that. Those who can. I mean, we have some who are more handicapped, but those who can, help take care of the horses. They come and they groom them, and they help saddle them up. And they learn about how to take care of the horses also. You know, it's not just pony rides that we give. They learn how to steer the horses and how to take care of them and that kind of thing.
Perfect.
That's really cool.
And that's probably the biggest injury we have, because if you don't watch, we have some that are bigger horses with bigger feet. That's the thing you have to watch out the most, because you're going to get stepped on.
Yeah, it's a cool. Now you said you're always looking for like volunteers and stuff as well to come up and.
And you don't have to like horses. You don't have to be. You don't have to have a.
You might have to like kids.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Like kids. We have
You
a
don't have to
lot
talk
of
to the
our
horses.
a lot of our 4-H kids or people who have horses are the ones we have lead the horses. So then other people, like Amanda's mom, has been with us for years.
Forever.
And
She has missed like family events because she'll miss work, but she won't miss a Wednesday night volunteer opportunity.
and she's a sidewalker, but she had wanted to learn how to lead the horses. So if we're stuck, she can lead one of the horses also for us.
I think the thing that I think a lot of people are doing now in the pandemic is they're stepping out of their comfort zone. So I think a lot of, and it's all ages. People are like, you know what, like this pandemic has taught me anything. It's just like, anything can be taken away at any time. Your ability to go do stuff, see people, experience things. So if you're, it sounds crazy to say, but like if you're ever like, I would love to be around horses or take care of horses. Like this is an opportunity now in the area. You can go volunteer your time and help a great cause and experience that. Like that's something I did at a young age that I never thought I was going to. It was kind of like we're gonna go help her out. She's a friend of the family. She's gonna go do this, and I was a kid like, I'm not going to take care of someone's horse, like, and they're like, no, go ahead, go help her out. And I went. I was like, oh, I'm really glad I did that because it's an animal I never thought I'd work with or be around. And out of all the horses, I think the one that became the best friend, and the pony was like mean. It bit everybody, and me and this pony were like best friends. I don't know.
Whisperer.
Yeah, I was the pony whisperer, and I was like, you're more my size. You're little. Yeah, I'd put her droppers in her eyes, and then yeah.
Well, and I think like the interesting experience, my mom likes horses and my aunt, so that's how my mom got involved. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's 10, 15 years.
yeah.
She's been doing it a
She's
long
been there for a
time.
long time.
I think
And your
I lost track of how many times she's missed my stuff for. Which this even makes it harder for this because I am a director of a nonprofit doing the same event, trying to help my mom's favorite organization, and I'm like, all right, Mom, you could ask our family for the donations. I'll ask another family. But it started that my mom just, I think, like looked at an opportunity to volunteer with horses and has become so much. She's on the board.
Yeah.
She talks
your
about
father?
my stepfather, my late stepfather was involved with it. My aunt, uncle, but it started with she was interested in being around horses, and now she tells me she talks about these kids like we're supposed to know them by their Johnny did this or that. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are, but like I said, I mean, Wednesdays, I know, just don't even bother. She's plans every Wednesday from
Well, it's very
June,
rewarding,
October.
like with her. She can see the progression of some of these kids. I mean, we have all kinds, and you can see how they progress, and they learn to control their own horse, and they learn how to brush their horse, and they get socialization where sometimes this is the only thing they do, and they get confidence that they can do this. So it's very rewarding. I've been doing it probably 35 years, and it's very rewarding experience.
Horses are actually on the list for a therapy animal.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the animals that you can register as there's a story I was just listening to where I guess a lady brought her horse. Now, when you think horse, it's not like a full-size horse. It's like a miniature horse.
Yeah.
But she was trying to bring her horse into a doctor's appointment. And the lady's like, no. You can't bring that horse in here. And they're like, I'm suing. And then she's like, and then she found out that a horse is part of this. Yeah.
Southwest, why can't I bring my horse on this plane?
For a therapy horse, she tried to bring it on the flight.
The little ones,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
wouldn't want to bring out some of ours.
Listen, luggage gets heavy. Sometimes you just need to bring a horse with you.
Mule. Like,
Yeah. I need
this
my
mule,
pack
I need
horse.
this mule.
I need a horse for my, I can just load them all up in my podcast bags. I got a therapy
Like the
horse.
mountains of Peru, you got
Yeah.
your pack llama.
And I can get I used to have a St. Bernard, and we used to put the barrel on him. Feel it with
Just drop one of the mics in there.
Feel it with Yingling. His name was Cujo too. Yeah, he was a good guy, but All right, we'll swing back to you here.
All right, so in case everyone's forgot, my name's Walter Davis. I'm part of the Schuylkill County Conservancy.
You're trying to raise money for new khakis.
100%. Like every time you go out in nature, ruin a pair of khakis. Like, we got to keep this going. But no, I actually got involved by accident. I was talking to Porcupine Pat, who a lot of people know simply by Porcupine. But I was trying to build a trail network to connect Minersville to Schuylkill Haven through Pottsville, because one of the biggest things that the city's lost when it grew was the connectivity. And that partly happened because the city used to be basically like 6 small towns that just slowly turned into something. So when I was talking to Pat about it, he was really like, no, this is what we need, like, on our board. So I ended up attending some board meetings, and from there got inducted into the board. But we've really lost a lot of momentum when the pandemic started. Like, we were about to break ground on the trail to connect where the existing JFK trail is in Pottsville to the school district where all of the schools are. And that was going to bring the trail itself from half a mile to 1.5 miles. And as soon as like everything was just going perfect and smooth sailing, all of a sudden like lockdown, and all of a sudden everyone's priorities just shifted. And like we're joking about like pivot, but like that is such a key part of this, because everyone was immediately like, any extracurriculars canceled. All we're going to worry about is like, how do we make it through next week?
Yeah.
And just like, although that was part of like the school board and the city and all of their direction, it also affected like the conservancy as a whole. Like, all of a sudden we didn't know if any of the grants or any of the donations that we use to fund things were going to come in. We didn't know if we were going to have a membership base. We didn't know how hard this was going to impact the people that were part of the conservancy, to the point where we didn't realize that it was going to affect our board members. Like, we've had board members that had to step down because of health complications. And it really did turn out to be an event that no one could have predicted. But part of that has highlights out of all of this. Like, we've taken that time to refocus and to do things that we didn't have time to do before. And instead of having all of our events and all of our bird walks and things like that, now we have that time to prioritize and start putting back together things that haven't been, like our bylaws. And we didn't have a website, so we started developing a website. And part of Squiggle Gives that makes it so easy for us is, like we all mentioned, where you have one website that you put your card information in and you can do donations. And when you don't have a website, having that out, like that option, makes it so easy for those who want to donate. And that was one of the big reasons why we realized we needed a website, because it's hard for people to make donations, because right now we have our PO box and everything goes there, and everything gets sent out as mail, and everything comes in as mail. Whereas there's no way for you to pay online. There's no way for anyone to do anything paperless. So it's been a long year, and there's been some shortfalls within that year, but there's also been some highlights and some things that you don't realize that you took for granted. But now that you realize it, it really changes your focus and the primary objective of what you're doing.
Yeah. The big thing is with this pandemic too, is I feel like a lot of what we're doing now is with businesses and just being out and exploring your communities and doing stuff with your friends. Everyone's looking for that outdoor thing now. Like, outdoor seating was something we like, oh, you go to the city, you get to sit outside, and like now every small business in this area, you can go and sit outside. Like, it's an option.
Well, and like one of the things that we did with the money we raised last year was we built the planters that are outside of the library in Pottsville. And part of that was like, let's just see how this goes. Let's see how the community reacts to it, and like slowly injecting like that greenery and that tactile feel of like if you rub your hand down the plant or you feel the plants or whatever. But that was also to foreshadow that one of the things we were working with was making the pocket park that's going across from the library. It's going to be called Discovery Park, and that is going through with the city is developing that. But that was kind of just like a illusion, like a foreshadowing of like, this is what it's going to be, but let's see how the community responds to it. And then it went a step further, and we started working with like the theater, and we built the tree surround to make that part of downtown more attractive and to kind of change the dynamics of it. And a step further, we're working with Pillager Road to do another tree surround there, but we're going to incorporate that into like their outdoor seating and things like that. But things like that, like they cost money, they cost time, they cost things that we need. And when your organization is all of a sudden every penny matters, and we don't know if we're going to have as many members as last year, we don't know if we're going to have grants, that's where you get that contraction where all of a sudden it's, okay, how do we fund things like this? And our membership today is stable, but it's down from what it was last year. And things like that we expected, but we didn't expect like things like some of the grants to not come in or them to come in late. And like we all said, like you still have bills. We still have our insurance for all of our events that we didn't do. We still have everything, and you can't drop it. You can't just be like, well, we didn't do any events, so we're not going to pay our insurance next month. Like it's not how it works.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, right?
But
what's insurance? No.
But
Now-
the other thing is like we're really trying to pivot and start really engaging with our membership and having them involved in things. And like one of the things you guys were doing at Squiggle Vision was like the scavenger hunt. So we got stickers made it says our Squiggle. So they're going to be sent out with our membership cards, where the whole idea is basically to like make a flat Stanley. So like when you go hiking, like you hold up like your sticker and like take a selfie with the sticker at the trailhead, and then like our Schuylkill hikes, or you're going fishing and our Schuylkill fishes, or whatever, if you're planting trees or whatnot. But like the whole idea is to like kind of broaden it, and in a sense of like you don't know what you have until you look, kind of to make it a bigger image of like, this is everything that we do, and this is everything from everyone else's point of view. Like this is what our membership does, not what we do, because we can only do so much. Like there's only a couple of us, so it's really what our membership does and what they want to do.
Now, is your trails also, would they be considered like bike trails as well, or are these just walking trails?
That trail, we don't have any development on it as of now because of everything, but it was a walking biking trail. It was partnering with the Schuylkill River Trail, because they're essentially like a trail highway. Like they go from Philadelphia to Frackville. Mm-hmm. So their whole thing is follow the river.
Yeah.
And part of that with the city is like when you follow the river, you only go the width of it, but the city is a mile long and only less than a half mile wide. So when you only bisect it, you miss everything. You miss Mart's Hall, you miss downtown, you miss all of that. And especially like pulling in with Minersville, like they already had the bike community. They already have like the bike trails in the woods. They already have the skate park. They have things like that. And it was really like, how do we connect them to it? How do we get them to be part of this too? Because like growing up in St. Clair, I used to bike down the highway to get to Pottsville. Like that's not safe. Like I don't advise anyone to do it, but we did it, and kids do it all the time. Like, yeah. And it was really like, how do we connect things without you driving? And especially for kids where they don't have options. If their mom and dad are at work, or like the Penn State students, like when they come from the city, they don't have cars. So you're stuck on campus, and if you walk from campus, you have a little bit of a hike to get downtown in Haven, and you're crossing the highway and things like that. So it was really like, how do we connect those kids that don't see what the county as a whole has to offer out of it? Like, how do you get them out of that bubble and actually let them experience it? And as a graduate from there, like I saw firsthand what those kids saw, and it's not that the campus doesn't have enough to offer. It's just you're stuck. Like it's the equivalent of like being quarantined in your house. Your house is great until you're stuck there, and then you're just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, but
well, it's exciting because I actually just had an opportunity a couple weeks ago to have Alan on, who's opening up Pottsville Cyclery. Yeah, and it's cool to hear like all these trails are opening up, because that goes hand in hand with his business, where now you can get a bike from a downtown Pottsville thing.
I had a long talk with him when he first was floating the idea around, and the big thing with Alan was like, we're working on the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like you're the people version of this, and I'm the infrastructure aspect of this, and like we need to work together, basically, not in the sense of like you help fund it or me help fund you, but in the sense of like you need to tell me what you need, and I need to tell you what I need. Like we're all working on the same thing. But the conservancy is more than just a trail. Like a big part of conserving is knowledge, and we used to because of COVID and stuff, but there's so many educational programming that the Conservancy Board does, and that's a huge amount of their time and going to the schools. Like most of it in our county, any time that you're in like elementary school and someone came in and was like talking about woodpeckers, that was probably us. Hands down. Like any nature, anything, it was either the conservation district or the conservancy.
I was all about it until he brought that snake out.
See,
It's like, you can get Ben Porcupine Pat.
yeah, exactly. Like
You keep that thing away from me. I'm not a snake person. I was like, oh, cool, a porcupine. Like, don't touch it. He's like, this is like a bird. And you're like, awesome. He's like, this is a boa constrictor. I'm going back to class.
But yeah, no, and on top of that, like the mushroom hikes and the bird walks and things like that. And we, like our forestry committee, like they just planted a ton of trees downtown in Orrigsburg and things like that. But like, you don't really see that. Like, as far as like what the Conservancy does, like you don't see what we do every day, but like we're always out there doing something.
If we built a Schuylkill County Mount Rushmore, Porcupine Pat's definitely got to be on it, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
Like he's got
100.
notoriety, like, and it's funny because he only lives like, I don't know, 10 houses down from me, and I never knew it.
Really?
Yeah, in retrospect, I 100% should have known it, but never knew it.
We got to do another podcast, me, you, and Porcupine Pat.
He also like always mentions the fact that he's not originally from here, but
Yep.
everybody knows him. Like,
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
If you
yeah.
went to
Okay,
school
you're one of
in
us
this
now.
area, you know Porcupine
Yeah.
Pat. Like,
Yeah, it's like part of your curriculum.
yeah, there's two things that every school was looking forward to: was Porcupine Pat Day and the day they brought the big tent thing in that you blow up and everyone runs underneath. Like as an elementary school kid, you're like, we're doing the parachute day and Porcupine Pat. This is gonna be the greatest day of my life. So yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah, it's nice to hear that the trails, like the opening of those trails and the biking. One of the things I kind of got to learn a little bit with like the beer podcast and realizing is the bike trails and that community that's in that. And now that we have the breweries in this town too, like one of the big things they do, and it's not just like riding your bike drunk, but like what they do is they do these trails, but they end up their trail at like a brewery, and that's where
Yeah.
they get their food and they hang
Yeah.
out, and that's like the end stop. So what they'll do is like they'll park their cars at the brewery, they'll bike all around the area, and they go to cities like Philly, and they go to those cities because there was not many things in this area for them to do that. But now you have like the 3 breweries here. Monersville has the Little Brown Barrel, which is like
Yep.
a beautiful building with great food and like the beer scene and stuff. And so it's cool that that's all kind of blending in as well. Like
And they're-
all the pieces are
They
like
also
the
are
kind
added recently a beer garden
Yep.
as part of their.
I think this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, just this
I mean,
weekend,
very
so.
recent, yes.
yeah. So it's kind of cool that like all these smaller pieces of different communities and things that complement each other so well are all like coming together.
Yeah, no, and like it is a lot of networking, and like you don't realize that someone's doing the same thing you are until you get referred to them, basically. Like one of your friends is like, hey, you and so that's how I ended up meeting Alan. Like it was complete accident. I ended up talking to him and I was like, wow, like this is literally a match.
Yeah,
But
that's how I met Tim Mingle. Everyone's like, you need to meet Tim. You're like
Yep.
the same person, and
Yeah.
we're like best friends now. That's
But-
awesome.
And it's little things. And with like the trail, it was about connectivity and putting that nature back in. Because especially where the trail is supposed to run, like it's very dense city blocks, and it's hard for, like a perfect example is like someone on Guinea Hill to go down to downtown because you don't have that connection anymore. There is no staircase that brought you right down to Garfield Square. So you really get like self-isolation where each of those communities have their own playgrounds. They have their own whatever. So those kids hang out with those kids, and the trail is really to kind of like unify everyone and make it so that people come together and work together. But on top of that, like to bring the nature back in like a very eloquent way. And that was the same idea with like the planter boxes and the tree surrounds and things like that. And really to slowly get people to like realize how much they like it.
Yeah.
Because when you kind of like try to like jam it down their throat, they're like, build more houses. But then when you're like, but look at this park, and like with the city, like with the Discovery Park, and like talking to the city about it and the development of it and really working through that. But that also led to like, okay, well, how can we take what you built with the planners and transfer that to like the beer garden that's going between like Hucklebucks and like the Chinese restaurant? And it was like, okay, well, they have a ton of impervious coverage, so we can break that up by building massive planters and filling it with like succulents or something that's like real low maintenance, but still putting that like greenery downtown, but not doing it in a way that like we're gonna have huge maintenance costs. And it's a lot of work, but it's neat.
Yeah, I love, like, I think one of the big things in the area that people are like, oh, I can't wait for like the fall or the summertime. We go to Jim Thorpe for the day and we walk around and just experience that town. And I'm like, I love Jim Thorpe, but there's no reason that every other town in this area can't be doing that as well. Because every town has their history. Every town has these awesome, and the fact that these small businesses and there's people who are looking to make things look better and appease that, and you can do all this really fun stuff. It's exciting to hear that, even though this time of COVID was a time where people could have been like, oh man, it's over, we're struggling. It's these, you guys are all coming together as a collective, and you're raising money for one another to help build these areas up. So our area can become like the Jim Thorpes of the area, and we can bring tourism in and people and outside people and the people who are here to really cherish it and enjoy it. It's exciting to hear hearing people are the pivoting, you guys are ready to,
Well, it also, I think just hearing some of those ideas, I've worked a lot on walkability and bikeability, and lately my soapbox thing has been that you can get from 183 to 61 in Haven without stopping if you get the light and Stoyers. But if you just added things like flower boxes or trees, anything that's going to almost road diet and slow cars down, that's a benefit. So putting flower boxes in Origsburg or in Pottsville,
well, and that's with
it's a safety thing.
Where we
put
the planners for the
pedestrians.
library was intentional, because the whole idea was how do we liven up that part, because you have that one way, and it's a very fast one way that comes to a major intersection, and people didn't walk down the library side because it was the wider sidewalk, but it wasn't a safer sidewalk. Yeah. So by putting those there, you basically created a barrier, and now you have the perceived safety of, okay, I can walk here, because people have this I don't know what the real word is, but sociological survival mechanism where they walk along walls. So you have the library wall, but then there's nothing. So if a car did come, where you bail, how do you bail out of that scenario? So they'd walk on the other side, because at worst case scenario, they can walk into the grass lot. Yeah. And so it was really twofold of let's see how they respond to this, because originally we were supposed to do 5. And I was let's see if we can take care of 2, and then we'll go from there. And it was actually a good start, because the city was doing the sidewalk project, so everything had to get moved and things like that. So 2 is definitely a good number, and there were some challenges with watering it and maintaining it. So, but it did shift people's behavior from walking on the other side to, okay, now we can walk on this side. And to the extent, I don't know if it was perfect, but
yeah. But I think if we can make our communities more walkable, I'm always surprised when I say I walk somewhere and people are like, "You walked here?" Yeah. Or do you want to ride back? I'm it was 4 blocks.
Yeah, no, I did it intentionally.
I
didn't.
Yeah, I don't need to drive that far. So just making that. Yep. And getting people out in their communities more.
Well, and it's funny because me and my girlfriend are looking for a house, and we have a specific 3-block radius that we're looking at, and everyone's like, why are you so specific? I was like, because we can walk to everything from those blocks. And it was it's not because I don't like parking, it's not because of anything, but I don't need to drive. Yeah. Realistically, if I don't need to, I shouldn't be. Yeah. And when we do go to the city, we walk everywhere. Yeah. We'll park probably illegally in the Ramada parking lot, but yeah. Or the Wells Fargo lot. That's where I normally do. I just got a $35 ticket. But yeah, no, and it's a much nicer experience when you're walking versus when you're driving. Because when you're driving, you're really just focused about getting there. You don't care about anything going on around you. But when you're walking, you notice the little details. You notice the flowers in the windows or whatever. And that is something that the pandemic did shift, having the outdoor seating, especially when they closed the alley for Wheel and made that outdoor seating.
That was awesome. That was a cool idea.
No, and that was super cool. And it's one of those we know inevitably it's going to go back to a road when this is all over. But that was a really cool experience. But more than that, you saw so many businesses buying flower planters and pots and things like that and putting them outside, and it really does create more of a, I don't want to say cozy because that's probably the wrong word, but a livable neighborhood and somewhere you want to walk around.
And I hope it doesn't go away when it's over. That's my one thing I always say. I'm it would be great if this stuff continues.
I think it's becoming the norm. I think people are.
It's it just seems I was up in the New England states years ago, in October, and I was stopped at a beach, and I couldn't believe how many people in October were sitting on beach chairs bundled up, still outside. Or we went to was it Walden Pond or Walden Lake, And people in October are swimming. Like, you know, there was like, it seemed like a scene out of Cocoon. Like it was all these, like this older group of gentlemen like that were, but I was like, this doesn't happen. We all like go indoors and don't leave.
Yep.
Like, I hope we could get to that point where we're continuing to enjoy the
Well, it's really like
amenities we have in Schuylkill County.
if it's a worthwhile walk, you'll do it. But if it's not, like if you have a barren block and
Yeah.
it's just meant for cars, like why walk?
Yeah.
And that's really like the big thing. And we're trying little things like with the planners. But
Yeah, and we did that in Haven. They want to put a walking bridge from Island Park over, but it's going to take a few years to do that. So I said, let's do a walking route that leaves at Island Park and connects you downtown, and it's 1.2 miles. It's nothing. But I said, this is a Band-Aid. This, you know, I mean, I'd love to see people continue to do that when the bridge is there, but like, this is
People
a
take the
very
shortest routes.
expensive bridge.
Can I say,
Think about putting signs up, you know, for the foliage and animals or anything like that at different places. My grandson.
like the native species.
Yeah, I just went to a park with my grandson for last week, and they had all these signs up.
A little closer to the mic,
Oh,
just
sorry.
so we can hear you.
They
Sorry.
had all these signs up about there's snakes here, there's garter snakes here, there's
Don't like that.
Like, yes, I want those signs.
He's like, thanks for the warning. I don't like this parking.
and there's deer here, but he wanted to stop at all those signs, and he wanted to see. Now the animals weren't there,
Yeah.
but they told you that these animals
could
were
see.
that you could
Yeah.
see these at
If you
some
stay there long
time.
enough, they will show
You
up.
know, so that might be a nice thing to put in the trailer, especially if
Yeah.
put it down low enough. The kids, he wanted to go there again and again. You know, he really was interested in that.
And all these
fun.
towns have these cool stories. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like
100%.
One of the things that we're trying to do in Ringtown that we're gonna do with the shop is like obviously the spooky stuff brings stuff in, like the Ringtown witch story. Like that's a big thing. Like all these towns have these cool, like where a standing president was in Pottsville at one point in time, or like
Couple of them.
you know, Muhammad Ali used to go to, you know, the doctor's office in Monty City before he would train to go back to Deer Lake. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these really cool things in the area that people aren't even aware that exist, and little placards to stop and read would be really fun. I agree.
Yeah.
can I say, like, this has been so nice to talk to people who are positive about Schuylkill County.
Yes.
Because I think when you're running your nonprofit, as all of us, you know, do, there's so much you have to work on. There's such a uphill battle. It's so many things that to be in a room with people who are excited about Schuylkill County and its potential and what we can offer and what our community can do. We should do this more often.
know.
'Cause
Well, I think the big thing is the people that love the county aren't vocal about it.
Right.
Or they're part of something, but they don't know about the rest of it. Like, one of the biggest things that I took away when I was talking to Alan is there's so many bike enthusiasts that think they're the only one. And it's one of those, like, you aren't, but you don't know about anyone else. And it's funny because, like, in such a connected world, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, we don't know about a lot of things. And until you really kind of like put the axe to the grindstone and start digging in,
Yeah.
and when you start like making yourself part of things, that's when you really realize everything that's out there. And that takes a lot of like personal dedication and personal work to find things out.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
I've
once you
heard that
start-
like quite a few times. Like, people always say to me like, "Oh, how do you know about this stuff?" I'm like, "Well, I researched it. I mean, not only for my job, but I don't want to sit at home every day."
Yeah. Well,
But like, I'm constantly
exactly.
finding like an example today. They have the little rail cars going in from Cressona to Jim Thorpe. Every year this is happening, and I can never find the information. I get like snippets, but I was like, all right, at least I know this time I might see them go past my house.
I would love to, like, if they would just open up the train track. Like, if I could take a train from Monty City or Frackville to Possible for the day, and
Well,
then take a train back home. Like,
yeah.
like how awesome would that be?
You gotta walk home.
Yeah. Well, now you guys build those trails are great, but I'm not quite there yet. No.
But
I think
yeah.
it's going to be interesting because you're seeing more and more of the train opportunities
Yeah.
across the state, and even like they are now doing the one from Tamaqua that's going to go to Jim Thorpe, and it used to be just like the fall foliage one, but
Yeah.
that's going all summer long now. And I live in Haven right along the tracks, and I was just saying something. I'm like, the passenger train is constantly going empty. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're constantly out running them. So I'm like, oh, maybe what are they going to do?
That would be really
Yeah.
nice.
I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of people in the area who are like, man, this area sucks or this area stinks. It's like, it's easy to say that. It's always easy to be the negative person, but it takes the work to say, I'm here. I don't plan like I always say, and I'm dead serious. I say, like, if I ever like were to hit the lottery or come across, like, I wouldn't leave this area.
Yeah.
Buy the Yingling Mansion.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't leave here. Like the fact that like I can.
That's right.
Yeah, I could be on the side of the road stranded, and I guarantee within 15, 20 minutes, some stranger's gonna stop and be like, "Hey."
That's the thing. Like, I grew up in Jersey. I moved out here. We've been here for like 11 years, and you see the contrast. And sometimes it does take people like leaving the area and realizing everything that was there and the sense of community and like their roots and everything for them to come back and realize like this was so worth it. And sometimes you do have to let people go through that. But
yeah, it's definitely nice to be around people
Yeah.
who are all like-minded and take pride in their area. And it's you hear the term skook, and you take it with a badge of honor and not a
Like initially it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like initially it was like the urban definition was like a bush party, like whatever. But it has evolved into like almost like a positive. When I started, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but like when I started working at Vision and had the youth summit, and it's called, like, the website is skookyouth.com. I was like, what? What are you using this term for? And it has had now like this positive spin that I'm glad. But I think like once we start, you have more people putting those positive spins on. I will give one example. Last week, Tanya and I were talking about.
She's laughing already.
Tanya went to Reniger's Farmer Market in Flea. But she didn't call it that, and
Local term.
I like it's only ever going to be the auction,
Dirt mall.
if that's what we call it. But so I'm trying. So all of you can please just start saying Reniger's Farmers Market in Flea to make that come on. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
Write it on your hand.
But like that kind of stuff that cleans up cleaning up
Yeah.
the words cleans up the area.
Well,
Can I tell you one thing though? So something I found a while ago. There's actually the word skook is kind of in the dictionary. It's skookum, and it's North American, and it's an adjective that means strong, brave, or impressive. I just wanted to add
she's
that.
talking about me.
yeah.
But it's in the Oxford dictionary.
When I think skook, like how you said before, like bush parties and stuff, like sure, that's a thing, but like I think the biggest thing that comes with our area is community. And you can be complete strangers, but it's not hard to find like-minded people who have the same passion of community and being one with each other and have large gatherings. Like everything in our area has always been about let's have a lot of people in one area and let's get to know each other. And if there's a beer involved, so be it. But like, you know what I mean? It helps, but like that's always been the thing. Like growing up, the biggest things that ever happened in our area were the community events. Everyone like was looking forward to block parties. They were looking forward to when they did like the town-wide, shut down the streets and have everyone go, and they had vendors and stuff. Like people like that, like yard sales.
Even
like,
going into like Boiler, like the whole point was you're making a drink for everyone.
Yeah, it's so when I think of skook, that's what I think. I just think of community, and it's good to find like-minded people. But I know not everyone here that's involved for the 24-hour event is represented. Is there any other places that we have off the top of our head that can?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
there's a lot.
There we go. She's about to speed read.
Yeah.
So I had it pulled up and I probably took it down. You guys want to talk amongst yourselves for a second? I'll pull it up.
It was,
I'm
like
very-
going on what you were saying.
Yeah.
I went to a trail summit 2 years ago. It was in Shippensburg, I want to say. And I actually ran into the guy who owned the company that did our revitalization study.
wow.
And he said our biggest hurdle as a community was the perception of that community. And like he's gone to multiple trainings and taught in multiple cities on like how their frontline workers, whether that be like the waitress or the bartender or the whoever, the receptionist at your hotel or whatever, like how to train them so that when someone says like, what's there to do around here? They don't respond with like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
or
that's huge.
go see Yingling, and like that changing that. And like it's even harder for us. Like even when like the dirt mall example, like it's hard. Like you've said the same thing for so long.
Yeah.
And like I've even been victim of like someone says like what's there doing, you say nothing. But like it's not true. You basically like get programmed.
There's a lot of really cool stuff in the area that like I'm I have never done the mansion, the Yingling tour.
Oh my gosh.
I've never
I
done
did
it
for my birthday.
I've never done the Yingling tour. I've never done.
You've never done the Yingling tour.
I've never.
Throw a fit.
And I love like
I used to live down the street.
I consume so much Yingling, and I've never done the tour. I've never done the Pioneer Tunnel.
Again.
I've never like. There's so many cool things.
She's done.
That's
She's about
it.
to sign
Like,
off.
go there on a hot day.
Yeah.
The Pioneer Tunnel is
Yeah.
the best on like the hottest humid day because it's under
Yo, better
underground.
tunnel. Go to the one behind Walmart. Real cold.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing I did recently, and I was gonna do it with the podcast, and then the pandemic hit, and I didn't get a chance to go back up. But like, I just sent him a message, and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to come up and see the area." And he's like, "Yeah, just come on up. I'll give you a tour." The Fighter's Heaven.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet.
If-
Same.
It's so cool. Like, it's just like this is where Muhammad Ali was, and like, you can see where his cabin was, his family's
Yeah.
cabin was, like his mosque. Like, such an awesome. You all right?
Sneezing.
Oh,
Had to.
but you have the list here.
Yes, I do. So there are, I know definitely over 30. There's Tamaqua Library, St. Joseph Center, Ashland Library, Schuylkill Free Shakespeare, Clinical Outcomes Group, the Walk-In Art Center I know is doing it, AHEDD, Anthracite Philharmonic, Assumption BVM, the Downtown Shenandoah Initiative that we mentioned earlier, Dustin's Adventure, Gabriel Chamber Ensemble, Helping Harvest, the Food Bank, which serves Schuylkill and Berks County, Hillside
It's a big part of this
SCCA.
entire pandemic.
Yeah. Jewel Women's Center, Monoy Library, Nativity, Open Arms Ministries, Origsburg, Pine Grove Historical Society, Pottsville Library, Ringtown Library. The list goes on and on. Conservation, the County Historical Society.
Well, and like the other thing, when you go onto the website, it lets you pick a category.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. So like you go in and it's like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for arts? Are you looking for like human services? Are you looking for conservation? Are you looking for like, and you click on it and it'll just pull up all of them, whether it's like arts and the libraries come up or the Walk-In Arts Center and like
Super exciting.
And like you can't donate now. You can only do it
closed.
on May 14th. But you can they're all on there now. And the great thing is like one of the things that you had to like have for this was a social media presence. So everybody that's participating in this has a social media presence.
Yep.
So a Facebook page or an Instagram. So if you see something, you can go on, search them, and you'll find more information about the day or just about their services that they have to offer.
Awesome.
well, and hopefully we'll be doing another one of these on May 14th with Tim.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you're doing his podcast?
yeah, it's lined up.
I like it. That's a fun podcast to do. It's funny because like I don't lie on the same religious beliefs as Tim, and I always joke around like, nah. He's like, you're more Jesus than you think you are. Like, the joke is I'm the devil. Like that's Tori's amazing art of me as the devil, and he's like, you're so far from that. You don't even like. I just lean into it to be funny, but yeah, I love that guy to death. He's so
Yeah.
much fun.
Well, now that he got name drop a couple times, I think he's locked in. So
Yeah, yeah, you're doing it. It's already. I don't think I'll be in the area, but if you need equipment, let me know. I'll hook you up, give you some microphones. But I want to thank you guys. This is such a good time.
Yeah.
I definitely,
Yeah, this was a good
I'm
time.
down to keep doing this. And like I said, I love finding more businesses out and learning about people and hearing. Like I started this just to learn like people's stories, and because of the area we live in, people aren't really comfortable sometimes expressing those stories because there's a lot out there, but people, because we live in that small tight kind of area where it's
Stigma
like,
and stuff.
I'm not really comfortable telling my story to everybody, and that's completely fine. So I kind of I pivoted, and I went to like businesses and local musicians and stuff like that. And it's been, I think I'm coming up on my third year doing this, and just the experiences I had and the people I've met and just learning about more stuff in our communities has been really exciting. And this is a great example of that. We just all different
Yeah.
people coming together.
Well, and that was the whole idea. Like, all of us are nonprofits, so that's what unifies us. But everyone has a different story of, especially like how the pandemic affected them and their nonprofit, or what they do with their funding, or what they need the funding for, and things like that. And that was kind of the whole gist of like, let's give people an actual point of view on what we do day to day, whether that's fund repairs to the mansion, or keep the lights on, or feed horses. Like,
Yeah.
I do have one more shout out.
Absolutely.
To Schuylkill Area Community Foundation, who actually put this together and is the one that hosts this and actually pays for the platform and does everything and, you know, organizes this. They were the ones that.
So what is the website one more time for everybody?
SchuylkillGives.com.
Okay.
And it'll only be open on May 14th.
You can go there
Open to
now. But you
giving.
can't-
Midnight.
Yeah.
So you can go there now and it'll still hyperlink you to everyone.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when you go there now, you can see everyone's landing pages. You can see all the like participating nonprofits. You can see everything. But as far as like the little donation button, 0.
Yeah.
May 14th.
And even and I want to encourage people if they listen to this later or they listen to us and it's past that date.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not the 14th. It's like, oh, they're not taking money. Like,
We're always taking money.
yeah, you can always help out, take money.
Gladly
Just,
take your
Yes.
Well, and if I remember right from last year, the results and everything come up afterwards and go on to Schuylkill Gives. So you can see like the total amount donated. You can see how many donors there were, and it breaks down everything to the point where like, last year we had what, like 566 donors or something like that.
I don't
I
recall.
thought
the
it was like
number.
697.
It was a
looked it up
big
when
number, and it's one of those things where like even if you just look at it in like retrospect to see how involved like the community really is, it really does like change your perspective, even if it's just for that week.
Yeah. And it was last year was, you know, first year, no one knew what they were doing. Like this already is
Amen.
more than we
Amen.
did last year at this point. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, Emily and I last year on the day of did a couple interviews, but like nothing was like, it was just, let's try this.
Yeah.
And I think the foundation's goal was like 25,000 and they made 70,000.
Yeah, it was like 74,000,
Oh.
like a total.
holy moly.
And that was with like,
Like it's wild.
we're
That's
just gonna
awesome.
try.
Yeah,
So this
like-
year, I have high hopes.
And the beautiful thing about it is that
Yeah,
even
microphone.
though all the money stays in Schuylkill County,
Yes.
you
Yep.
don't have to live in Schuylkill County to
Yep.
donate. The idea of it being a social media platform is that you can send emails and Facebook invites or Instagram notifications out to people all over the world. So even if the people that you know only want to support you
Yep.
in your passion.
Like my Nana lives in Frederick. She donated.
Yep, exactly. The idea is that this reach for this 24 hours
Yep.
is global.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it can go anywhere. It's just up to you to.
I
take
tell
that
people all
job.
the time that when some like I used to get people like why am I getting invited to all these pages? I said it costs you nothing to hit like on that page.
Yeah.
Like,
I said, but the fact that you hit it, you now have shown another 100 people that you hit like on this,
Yep.
and it doesn't even affect your page at all.
Yeah.
A big thing I try to tell people to do is with social media, especially with Facebook, is if someone invites you to an event, even if you're not going,
Yeah.
click interested.
Interest.
yep. Then
Because
everybody
interested
else
will
sees
open the
it.
door for more people to see that event.
Yeah.
And that's small things you can do to help raise awareness
Yeah.
for things that are in your area.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have $5 to donate,
Yeah.
hitting that share, hitting that like
Yep.
button gets the word out to that many more people.
Even if it's just like you personally have no interest in donating, but you know someone that donates.
Yep.
Like just send them it. You don't even have to share it on your page, but like everyone helps.
Has there been other like bigger businesses in the area who've been like a help with this, like donation or helping wise?
Yes.
There's
so
been some very large donations.
they have like a couple match donations that day. Sorry, let me see if I can find that on the website.
While you're pulling this up, one of the biggest things I like, once again, not just because I like their beer, but I'm proud of them as a company because when the whole pandemic thing happened and people were like, oh, we have
Yep.
to resort to outdoor seating, there was jingling tents everywhere. Like they gave so many small businesses like these tents that they can put up so that their customers can sit underneath them and do that. It's like
Or the umbrellas.
Yeah.
There was a couple like tables. I know like the Wheel had one of their tables and stuff.
They also dropped off beer for
At the hospital.
Yeah, at the hospital. And I know, I mean, outside of pandemic, they really support the troops. They're
Yeah.
very into
Hands down.
I know they got some flack with their political thing, which I don't care about.
Yeah.
I don't like any politics.
Everyone
but
has
anyway.
their politics.
But and how they're not unionized or something like that. But one of the biggest things I'll say is every single person I know who works for Yuengling doesn't leave their job.
Yeah.
No, and they're, I mean,
It's a hard
honestly,
job
they
to get
really
into.
Support, people say that they really do support the community, and they,
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
Like they
so-
go above and beyond. Even when it came to like helping with the garage, like there was
Yeah.
no funding for the garage to be rebuilt.
Yeah. And if any of the Yingling
the
family
check.
would like to do a Bang and Beers episode, that'd be fun.
They're private, I will say, from my experience. They're fairly
I just want to
private.
drink a beer at one of them.
Go to the brewery.
I was there one time.
Pre-rec. Do the brew tour.
And one of the daughters were there, and I was just like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just gonna say to myself. It was cool though. When I went to the Special Chetty event, I walked up to the register, and the lady like read my mask, and she's like, "Bang!" She goes, "Did you guys do a thing where it was like a table full of stickers, and you guys reviewed every Yingling beer?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I watched that." I was like, "That's cool." Yeah.
So you went to the special event but didn't take the tour.
No, I don't know. I've never
Called
done it.
out.
I think what
I
we're
did.
gonna do. I think what we're
I
gonna
went to
do
the
is-
special event and took the tour.
Really?
I did the tour on
the
my
50th
birthday.
time.
You know what happens when
Yeah,
you do it
I
on your
lost
birthday? Everyone at the bar sings to you.
Aw.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I've never had that happen. I have to go on my birthday. Add that to my.
I think what we're gonna
It
do
is,
is.
and it was one of those like I kind of didn't expect it. Like I was like, all right, we're not at like Red Robin or like any of these restaurants that are like gonna make all their staff sing. Nope. You walk in there, they give you your first beer, and then boom.
Fun fact with me is if you go to a Red Robin or a place like that with me, someone at the table's birthday is that day, even if it's not their birthday.
I was an actor on tour once, so we went,
That's how you
all
get free
across the
cake.
country, hit many of the states, and every restaurant we stopped in, it was always one of our birthdays.
Yeah.
Always.
And it's usually the one who's the
Terrible.
most embarrassed by being
Yeah.
publicly put out like that. It's the best. But I've lost my train of thought what I was saying there.
Well, while
Tour,
you're
the tour. My little brother's getting relocated. He's in the military, and he's getting restationed from San Diego to Virginia. And at the end of the month, we're going to pick him up and then bring him back. So I think when he comes back, me, him, and my father are gonna do the tour.
That's
like
a good time. Just wear closed-toe shoes.
Yeah, closed-toe shoes.
Or you're gonna buy their like rubber flats. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, so I think that's the plan. Yeah.
Mandy has the matches.
Yeah, so there's a few matches that day. There's Carnegie Investment Council, Skook Auto Sales, and Marshall, Boerad, Thornburg Price, and Campion are sponsoring a couple different power hours and the grand prizes. So the person that raises the most or has the most unique donations. And then some organizations like Therapeutic Writing has done a great job of reaching out to their partners to ask them to match for their
Nice.
different ones throughout the day. So I know off the top of my head, Weaver is a donator for you.
Well, we usually do a therapeutic riding program, horse show, every year in September. Well, we couldn't do it last year, and we're probably not going to do it this year. So I took those names from everybody who's had donated over the years, and I sent out. I said, hey, we can't do a horse show. Would you help by donating to matching funds? And I've gotten some back. I mean, we have over $1,000 worth of donations from them.
Nice.
I mean,
already.
and even like $1 goes a long way.
Literally. No, like even if you just get $1 donations, like all of that adds up. And in the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't seem like a lot for you and me, but it matters. Like for every one of these nonprofits, it matters, regardless if it's the library or wherever.
I try to make a thing like with our social media presence. If I have 1,000 people or 2,000 people who follow, the realistic thing if all 2,000 people actually are engaged with the page or they just hit like, but if each person does $1, that can change someone's.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's helpful.
Exactly.
But thank you guys once again so much for this. It was an absolute blast. We definitely
Thank
gotta
you.
sit back down and do this again soon.
Yeah.
And even if it's like a one-on-one thing, if you guys want to sit down and we'll do stuff like that. Go ride some horses with you. Or
Do some on-site.
I'll test out some.
He's like, I
swing-
want to test out my horse.
I'll test out some of those swings. You can push me in the on the zip line. It'll be fun. But I want to thank you guys again. It was a blast. Make sure you I'll get that link off you, and then everyone go and donate and help out and
All right.
and help save your community.
Thank you.
Coming soon, me and you and Porcupine Pat.
I'll ask him about it. Like, not a problem.
Tell him to leave his snakes at home. All right, we're out of here.